Well, welcome everyone to the City of Menifee's Parks, Recreation, Trails Commission meeting for Thursday, April 3rd. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6 p.m. It's so wonderful to have so many guests here tonight. The only caveat is because of the rain, you have to stay till 10 o'clock, okay? And until we go through all the business. I'm just kidding. Let's start with roll call. Ms. Aguilar, would you offer roll?
Chair Faust.
Here.
Vice Chair Peterson.
Here.
Commissioner Gidroyce.
Here.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Here.
Commissioner Tremblay.
Here.
Thank you, and I've asked Commissioner Tremblay to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
So if you all will please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now on item number 4 of our agenda for tonight. The best part of the meeting is our Youth Basketball League champions and coach recognitions. So I'd like to ask the commissioners all to come to the front here, and then we'll turn the time over.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity to acknowledge what a great youth basketball season we had. This season, we registered 360 participants, which was an increase of 25% since last year. But the success of this league would not be possible without the commitment of our volunteer coaches. Their leadership, dedication, and mentorship is the true spirit of our league. Coaches, we sincerely thank you for your unwavering commitment and investing in the next generation of athletes. When we call up your name, please step forward with the commissioners. Division A, Coach of the Bulls, Eddie Flowers. For Division B, Coach of the Warriors, Daniel Rodriguez. For Division C, Coach of the Ghost Riders, Mike Tellez. For Division D, Coach of the Wildcats, Derek Schneider, who was unable to make it to. Oh, wait, he just came in. Come on up. Perfect. For Pee Wee Division, Coach of the Mini Mambas, Josiah Cooper. Thank you, coaches, sincerely for going beyond the X's and O's. In addition to our coaches, we have the honor of recognizing our championship teams. Winning a championship is never about just the talent, it's about the commitment, resilience, and ability to work together. As we call your name, please step forward. For our Division A championship teams are the Bulls, Cole Lansing, Noah Carbajal. All right. Ashton Jones. Eon Flowers. Kaiser Reyes. Thomas Price IV. Yuria Casillas. Ethan Stewart. Chase Norton. And Coach Eddie Flowers. Go ahead. All right, congratulations, Division A champions. For Division B, the championship team was the Black Mambas. When you hear your name, please step forward. Jordan Massey, Abel Dejanovic, Leah Kremi, Ian Arizaga, Jason Figueroa, Ezekiel Gutierrez, Cash Gutierrez, London B. Jones, Daniel Ramirez, Ryder White, and Coach Eldon Gutierrez. Go ahead. Go ahead, Coach. For Division C, the championship team was the Ghost Riders. When you hear your name, please step forward. Callie Jackson. Owen Ovelson. Soraya Aubrey. Gunnar Zambrano. Camden Fortin. Landon Alfred. Woody Brinkerhoff. Oliver Valencia. Amir King. Ava Tellez. And Coach Mike Tellez. Alrighty, congratulations, champions. To all the players, coaches, and everyone who played a role in this remarkable season, thank you.
And while everybody's still getting seated, I just want to take a moment to thank our Menifee sports staff, our recreation community services coordinator, Shanice Jackson, and our community services specialist, Brandon Miranda, who are here today to help support youth sports and are so good at what they do. And we're thankful for your participation in making our youth basketball league such a great season. So thank you guys.
Congratulations again. Now, if you don't want to stay till 10 o'clock, you're welcome to leave now if you'd like to. Thank you so much. No award for him. Okay, that was wonderful. We'll continue on now with the rest of the agenda. We're now at item number 5, approval of minutes. Commissioners, are there any modifications or corrections to the minutes of our March 6th meeting? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 6th?
Motion to approve.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Agenda item number 6. Ms. Aguilar, do we have any modifications to the agenda today?
No modifications tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 7 is public comments. Do we have any requests to speak?
No request to speak.
Michael? Okay, I'm just good, okay. All right, thank you. Then we're at item 8, discussion items. 8.1, Park Conceptual and Quimby Review for Catalina. And recommended actions are, number 1, review and recommend an option for park conceptual plan for Catalina for incorporation of the updated conditions of approval. And number 2, review and approve the use of the proposed 13.97 acre park designs to fully meet the project's parkland dedication requirements per Menifee Municipal Code 7.75. So, Ms. Mitchell will lead us in that.
Yes, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. So today's project, as we typically do, bring forward items for the Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission, is to review the park conceptual plan for approval, and then also for affirmation that the park does indeed meet the Quimby Act requirements, which we do for a number of our developments. So just for a brief introduction or a history of this project is located on Antelope Road, north of Scott Road, so it's to the east of the 215, kind of our southeastern portion of the city of Menifee. It's approximately 160 acres, so this is a relatively large specific plan that's been in existence for quite some time, with approximately 935 single-family dwelling units for the entire project. And what's being proposed is a 13.97 acre with various public amenities and I'm sorry, I got distracted. And one thing that we want to make sure that is considered is that when we go through the park conceptual plans, we do have a couple items that we want the commission to consider. One of them is that the plans that we have are in need of updating because we do have a small deficit in some of the parking that's required for a community park. Per our design standard guidelines, a community park is required to have all of the park required for the park site on site. So which means we really can't take into consideration street parking. However, this project does have at least, I think, I want to say 35 parking spots that are allocated on the street close to the park development. So apologies for that. And just a brief overview, this is an overview of the entirety of the specific plan. So you'll see there are a number of planning areas. So this is a section between Scott and Garbani. It's kind of turned over so it'll fit in the slide. But the park is illustrative only in this layout, and it is kind of in the middle of all of these development areas. And so for the park conceptual plans, I'm going to pass it over to Bryce Howell, who's going to review the amenities with you.
Yeah, I'll review both conceptuals that were up here. So first conceptual, as you can see, is closer to one of our standard parks that has, or that you would see at any city for use. 2 softball fields, has the gymnasium, the 16,000 square foot gymnasium, 2 outdoor basketball half courts, and then the multi-purpose field there. And then obviously everything will have the bleachers, the tot lot, that's at the park. With the parking that's at this location that's now, so that on site on this picture, or on the design, is 146 spaces, which is 28 spaces that is actually short that's needed for the park. And what we look at when we're doing the parking is, let's say it's a Saturday afternoon and there's 2 softball games going on, there's multiple basketball games going on. So you're gonna have the users of that, but you're also gonna have the next team, the parents, the grandparents. So we wanna make sure there's enough parking for everyone that comes to be able to enjoy the ball field and not impacting the community where they are or running out of space for that. So that's why we're saying when there's a deficit. So on option 1, what we would recommend is to remove the multi-purpose field, move the playground over there to make more parking onto there. So in any way that we can, we're gonna have to lose some sort of an amenity at the park, but we wanna lose the least amount that we can if we have to lose something that's there. So that was our recommendation on option 1, and then I will go to option 2, and then we can, unless you'd like to do comments, but I'll go through option 2, and then we'll do comments after that. Absolutely. Oop, sorry. So option 2 is a little different. It also has the gymnasium, the 2 outdoor half-court basketball, but we were looking for something a little different in the city that would be heavily used, something that's unique for Menifee, something that can be used, and that's the track and field, but with the multi-purpose field in the middle. So there's multiple uses for this park. It would be where during the day, people can use the track. There's capability of multiple different uses of this field. So not just the track and field, but there's the multi-purpose field. This one, with the design that's there, has 116 spaces, so it's only 2 short of the 118 that we need. So what staff is recommending that we remove the 2 half-court basketball courts to be able to make one of the half-court basketball courts that's on the next to the Via Toscana Street, so that would increase the parking to be able to make it so we wouldn't have that deficit. The reason we say the basketball court on this one is we have the gymnasium, we still are gonna have the other one, so there will be the basketball courts inside the gymnasium. And then as you can see, the larger tot lot that's there, so it will have, it's just a bigger tot lot, a little bit more extravagant that's on there. So those are the two differences, is the one had softball field and the multi-purpose field. We were recommending to move that. On this one, it has the track and field with the multi-purpose field. And then the no baseball field, so. And now, yeah, we're open for your guys' discussion if we have anything.
Thank you, Bryce. Any commissioners? Go ahead, Les.
All right. I don't know if this question is for the developers or for you guys, but in the parking lot here for on the second design, in the parking lots there where we have trees, you know, where it kind of juts out with a little bit of vegetation between the parking spaces, you know, it's like maybe 8 spaces and then a vegetation with a tree or something. Can those be used to create those 2 spaces? Is that possible? Instead of removing the half courts?
I'll let.
Hi, Wade Gaines. I work for Richland Communities. I'm the landscape designer. Those spaces could be in lieu of, but we have, if you could pull that graphic back up on the screen. We try to get shade in the parking lots, and that's a good use of those. So you'll notice the island between what you would see just north of the tot lot there, where the cars are kind of what I would call an Uber Lyft drop-off. Mm-hmm. Just north of that. Can I point with this thing? No.
Yes.
Yes.
The 3 in a row there?
Yes.
All right. So the 3 in a row there, just north of that, that's actually enough to literally flip what's on the opposite side there, and you can get 2 to what is that, 6, 12, 18 spaces there. Or you could, as well, if you wanted to, you could look at taking away the Uber Lyft drop-off station and fill that with head-in parking. So we've studied the parking many different ways. I might suggest, if I may, that rather than lose some of the amenities, the basin number 1 is actually a temporary basin. And so we've studied, we can put up to 36 spaces over there on both options. So something to consider when you're making your decisions.
So realistically, the parking situation can be resolved
Easily.
All right.
I have a question with regards to parking as well. Could that be done to both concepts?
Yep, yes.
Okay. And I'm thinking that the reason we need more parking for the number 1 option is because we would expect more people to attend the fields, the softball fields.
Right, and that my suggestion, our suggestion is that instead of moving the tot lot down, losing that multi-purpose space, that soccer overlay, again, we look at how many spaces we can put into basin number 1, or a combination of all of the above.
Now, the gymnasium would be an enclosed gymnasium with how many restrooms and facilities?
It has a men's and women's restroom stalls. I think I counted 3, but I'm not sure. Brian, is that accurate? Yeah.
With outside access, so that if the gym was closed, you could still access the restrooms.
Thank you.
So, did you want to say something, Tom?
Yeah, I was just thinking I prefer design number 1 because I don't think a track really fits in with our master plan requirements. We have to look at what the public has been telling us they want, and they need more ball fields.
Thank you. My comment, I was curious with the space that's indicated as number 1, that if that could be incorporated as some kind of a multi-use, so that's not one of those deep basins, it's a retention, it's not a deep retention basin?
So it's a temporary basin, so it'll ultimately go away. So it's temporary just during the interim construction of the project, and ultimately it will go away. This is Brian with Richland Communities. One thought too we had too is on a permanent in that area on Basin 1, once it is filled in and brought to grade, is to do like an event lawn over there with like some, where you could park for larger events. Because in reality, we're not counting the 35 stalls on the street, but they really do exist, and they are there. And we purposely put them there because of to meet the parking count. But you know, if we left it as a turf area, it could be like an event lawn area that could be overflow parking as well.
That's a good thought. What's going to be on the other side of the street? Are there going to be homes where people might be disturbed by cars parking on the street?
Yeah, there's a channel. That's a pretty large sized channel. And that's a pretty good sized road going through there, divided. And that's multifamily over there. It's not planned yet or anything. That's a future application for on planning areas 5 and 6.
My question, I guess, to staff is something like that acceptable for that space, the area 1 to be expanding the parking and in the future to meet our requirements without losing amenities of
Yes.
the
If
multi-use
the
field?
capability is there and that is a temporary basin, that is a possibility, yes.
Keep in mind too, the park comes in at right around the 275th unit, and the clubhouse or the community center is right around 600. So it's a little bit phased in that regard. So at first that parking demand won't be there as much until that community center comes in. So there is some time in that regard too, because the community center comes in as like phase 2, essentially. So there's a little bit of we could phase the parking and make that like phase 2 parking that comes in with the community center or something like that.
Commissioners, any more conversations about preferences for option 1 or option 2? Option 2 is certainly a unique. Let's go with Tiara.
I personally prefer option 2. The main reason being is because I know we have several baseball fields, and I know the last review of the park that we last looked at was also additional baseball and or softball fields. So I think this will add an additional amenity to the community that kind of allows it to stand out a little bit from our neighboring cities. And then also, I do like the multi-purpose field in the middle, because for most sports, I would think that would use it. They would use the track to do their warm-up laps and then actually practice on the fields. So I think that would just add another unique option for people. And then on top of that, I think having a physical track is ideal for families or even parents who may not necessarily want to go walking on a trail by themselves. They may feel safer in a lit area. And I don't think we can build a track in very many parks just because of the sheer size. So I'm not sure if we have the same situation with a lot of our softball or baseball fields where the options to build them in any size park is more viable.
Thank you, Tiara. Les?
So just looking at the data here, it seems like in Menifee, this includes Valleywide and Menifee parks. We have 10 lit baseball, softball fields with a total number of like more than 20 of those. The multi-purpose fields right now, I know that there's people butting heads, coaches and organizations, and that's a big deal. You know, one thing that I really like is the large field in the middle of the track, because, you know, I mean, getting rid of the small multi-purpose field with the baseball fields, you know, for parking or for whatever, I mean, it is smaller, so it wouldn't accommodate, you know, for example, older youth or adult games. I mean, adding the baseball fields is actually, you know, that's excellent. And they're lit, right? The fields are lit.
Commissioner, if I may, for the you're talking about the multi-purpose field for the track?
No, the small multi-purpose.
Oh, on the baseball field.
Right.
Okay, I apologize.
Yeah, it's a little smaller than, you know, the one inside of the track is actually
It's a full
pretty
size,
legit.
yes.
Yeah, that'll hold a football field inside there.
Yeah, you know, and I know that soccer and football at the same time, they butt heads, especially, you know, fall time. And, you know, I've actually asked input from a couple of our people, our citizens, and the track has actually has actually, you know, piqued the interest of a few of our people that I've asked. We don't have one, but you know.
And just a thought too on this version, you know, it could be used also since it is multi-purpose. I mean, Wade could probably tell you how many t-ball fields could be put out there, but like, you know, some of the little leagues just use for t-ball and whatnot, just put out the bases and do the games. You know, you might be able to put 3 or 4 of those out there on the field for baseball for the smaller kids, t-ball. Or 6U softball. Well, actually, even games. I mean, I was in Northern California for a couple of years, and my son played t-ball up there, and we were on a multi-purpose field with bases that were temporary, you know, and we played games. So, and nobody even.
Yeah, it's all the same for them, right?
Yeah, they
enjoy
enjoy
it.
They're having fun, you know. So, but just a thought, because I mean, it is truly a multi-purpose field, but it will also accommodate football field size. So,
Thank you. Mauricio?
Yeah, personally, I'm with Commissioner Tom down there. I've heard families ask for more softball fields. You know, I mean, maybe because it hasn't been offered before, but nobody's ever asked for a track and field to me directly. So yeah, I would go with option number 1.
Thank you. Tom?
Well, we're looking at the neighborhood that's going to be built around it also. I think we want to make sure we accommodate the folks who are going to be near in proximity to it. Even if we're looking at the assets the whole city has, we have to think about the people who are going to be able to walk there when it's hot on the summer days or go there after work. So I think the track is a nice idea, but I would go with option 1 for that reason alone.
I have a question for fellow commissioners and staff. Do any of our middle schools have tracks? Are we aware of that?
No, they may have a dirt area that they can, you know, around multi-purpose. They definitely do not have a track or an 8-lane rubber track like that.
Yeah, I was just
The high school, yeah.
The high schools have-
high schools do, but the middle schools
But
do
the middle
not.
schools don't.
no.
Yeah, I was just up in Utah last week, and my grandson goes to a large middle school, though their middle schools are 7, 8, 9 up there. But they had a wonderful track, and he was in track as a 7th grader, and I thought, this is really cool. It is unique. I could see it being used by our younger students a lot, and hence that almost like a bus parking lot there in that option too. But so that piqued my interest just because of my experience last week with that. But I understand what Commissioner Gidroy and Sanchez are mentioning about you know, local amenity for the people that live in that adjacent neighborhood, and whether we'd get as much miles out of a baseball field versus a track and field.
Chair Faust, like you were saying with the middle schools, if I'll put a little input on that.
Sure.
So a lot of the schools, there's no public access to the tracks as well. So you can't go in the middle of the day or walk, especially the middle schools don't have them. Even if they did, there's no public access for that. So they wouldn't be able to use a track and field at noon or any time like that as well. So I just want to throw that in there.
This would be a public field.
Correct.
Commissioner Peterson?
If we went with option 1, you know, get rid of the multipurpose field to the small multipurpose field to add parking, you know, I mean,
I thought we didn't have to do that, though, if we could expand.
well,
You're correct.
okay.
Yeah,
So-
we could expand into that section 1 basin to meet the parking deficit. Is that, am I correct there?
yeah, and I mean, technically, like I said, the community center is dictating some of that parking count, and like I said, it doesn't come on right away. It doesn't come on until about 2/3 of the way through the project. So in reality, we kind of meet it until that comes on, so it makes sense to bring it on with that same time frame.
Does the community center have 2 full-size regulation basketball courts?
There's 2 size-wise?
Yeah, that's correct.
2 high school size basketball courts.
Well, one way or the other, this is going to be a unique project. So,
Excited about the gym, that's for sure.
So let me make sure I'm understanding this. There's going to be 935 units built around this park? And a good chunk of them is high density, correct?
A portion. As of attached, about 3 of the planning areas are higher density as approved in the specific plan. And that's planning areas 5 and 6. Those aren't currently on the table for approvals yet. Those will be future. Planning area 3 is townhomes, and that one is being proposed right now.
Okay, and those will have plenty of parking for
Yeah.
them?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll meet the requirements of the city for parking. Or exceed, actually. I think we exceed. Yeah, yeah. So,
Any other comments or questions, commissioners?
No, I was we're just going to highlight, thank you for bringing out the point that a lot of our schools are, they don't have public access, so you can't go on to the campus unless you are supposed to be there. But I think, Laz, you made a good point where having that multi-use field, you're going to get a lot more use out of it than only baseball. Because I think, like you brought out, you can turn a multi-use field into, you know, a t-ball field, but you can't do the opposite. So I think that in itself, it's making me lean more towards this, where if we're thinking about actual use from the residents and the community, more teams and more sports and football, baseball, basketball, definitely, more people would be able to use that facility if it's set up for multi-use. And I think this is truly set up for multi-use as opposed to option 1, which is really mainly set up for baseball and then a small corner for soccer or multi-use. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm leaning. I think it'll be able to touch more organizations, more people in the community versus the softball field or the baseball field. My apologies.
Commissioner Peterson, response?
is there, you know, as far as maintenance goes, long-term maintenance, baseball fields versus track? And I'm sure we don't have much experience with track yet, but
Yeah, to be honest, we don't have much experience. We don't maintain a track, but we do with the rubber surfacing. There is going to be a long lifespan on the track. I do know that. Just like there will be maintenance. There will be a different type of maintenance than the baseball, the clay and the Bermuda grass. It will just be the Bermuda grass that's in the middle of the track, so it would be the regular grass there. So that's not a replacement. That's just your regular rehabilitation to the grass. But for I don't have an answer, to be honest, for the lifespan of it. But I know it does have a long lifespan on it.
And the
And I
bleacher,
could look into that. Oh, sorry, I
go ahead.
apologize.
The bleachers with overhead shade, that's for at the track? Is that what, or is it on option 2? It's, are those the bleachers there where it says number 6?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Both options have bleachers.
Bleachers and lighting, correct.
Okay, bleachers and lighting, and whether it's baseball fields or it's a track. I just really like the track concept because it's just so unique, and it's something that will benefit all the residents of Menifee. And I mean, we're going to have the gym is going to certainly benefit all the residents of Menifee, not just the local residents. They've got the tot lot. They'll have a future. I like the green lawns option in the leftover space in area 1 over there where the temporary retention basin is going to be. Couple more outdoor basketball courts. I just think option 2 is my preference as well. Why don't we put it to vote for option number, Commissioner Peterson, you want one more comment? Oh, I'm good. Okay.
I do have a question, sorry. Is it going to be is there going to be a fence around this park at all? Is it going to be completely open? The track is going to be completely open? Everybody has access to it? Anybody has access?
Everybody
Okay.
has access to it, yes.
Okay, it's going to be well lit?
Yes, it will. It's just sports field lighting, just like we use on the Musco lighting that we use on our other sports fields.
There will be a fence around the track itself.
Yes.
But there's access to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
You don't want anyone jumping in on the races.
right. And then, yeah, You guys are starting to convince me on that, option 2. But I guess the field in the center of that track can also be used for movies at the park and, you know, events, take some weight off of the other Central Park.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
And would, I guess there'll be just incidental parking on Hullaballion Road? I mean, will people be able to park there, or will it be red curbed, or?
It's on the, if you're going north on the top above the parking
Is that
lot.
a property line boundary? That's not a street, or is?
That is a street, but there's no parking on that one. The parking will be on the Via Toscana.
Okay,
I said that
but
correctly.
people still won't, I mean, I go down Wheatfield and, you know, Menifee Road is lined with cars, so, because there's inadequate parking in the parking lot.
Correct. And we feel, yeah, and that's why we're gonna, they're to,
So it'll be
the-
red curbed or no parking.
yeah, and we
signs.
would be able to use number 1 and create that parking there, so we wouldn't have that street parking. I mean, the capability of the street parking is there, but we would rather have the parking in the parking lot.
Are we ready for a vote, folks? Okay, option 1, all in favor? Or indicate, maybe just request to speak so we can kind of see. I can see. For option 1? For option 2?
Aye.
We
That's
sold
very
Tom on
surprising.
option 2 as well. Thank you. Okay. And Mauricio, you're in?
Yes.
Okay, awesome, okay. All right, looks like it's unanimous. Did I see unanimous for option 2? With the discussions that we've had about using that temporary basin for future parking as it phases in, as the development phases in?
I think we're learning that you can't have too much parking, right?
No, definitely, thank you. That is wonderful. And so we need to, besides that recommendation, we also need to recommend that we meet the, or at least agree that we met the Quimby requirements as well, too. So
Yes, that's correct.
can I have a motion that we've, to approve the Quimby requirements for this, based on these updated conditions?
I'll motion.
Okay, a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous there, too. Anything else we need to action on this, item 8?
No, unless the developer has any other items that we'd like to share with the commission.
Yeah.
No, if there's any questions, you know, about any other things on the project or anything, we'll be hopefully going to Planning Commission for the 3 implementing maps here middle of May. So the project's been approved since 2007, and we're hopeful to get it moving forward here shortly, so we can see all these great amenities. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Hullaballion, is that a local name?
Haliblian?
Haliblian? Is that a family name in the area, or a developer's uncle? Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Okay, let's move on to action, to item 8.2, Quimby Assessment for Enclave? Recommended action, review and approve the Quimby Assessment for Enclave's tract to meet project requirements in Municipal Code Chapter 7.75, Parkland dedication and fees. And this is a, Ms. Mitchell, you just want to guide us
Yes.
through this? Okay.
Yes, I'll go ahead and talk through this project. So this is a development that's taking place west of Valley Boulevard and south of McCall Boulevard. It is 176 single-family dwelling units, and essentially this development is proposing to, there isn't going to be any city-maintained parks in this development, so they're looking to get Quimby credit for HOA amenities as long as they're active recreation amenities, which will offset the use of our public parks, and then pay the rest of the Quimby assessment and fees. So it's a kind of a combination of parkland dedication for their residents, and then which we credit at 50% per our municipal code, and then paying the rest with fees. So based on the information on the development of the 176 single-family units, and then our our basic requirement for Quimby parkland dedication is 2.51 acres for this project. With the adjustment for the Quimby assessment, that brings it down to 1.13 acres, which is what we would assess just a little over 186,000 for. And just so that you have an idea, these are the park amenities that they're asking for Quimby fees. I'm sorry. Quimby credit. It's a 2.7 acre park with picnic space, tot lot, dog park, and even a mini golf course. So it seems to be a good amenity for the residents there. But because it is HOA maintained and is intended for HOA residents only, that's why we give the 50% Quimby credit. So we're recommending the 50% to go forward with this project, and again, so that they pay the rest in the fees that are being assessed. So with that, I will turn it over to Commission if there's any questions about this project in particular. Our developer is KB Homes, and so they're really anxious to get this moving forward, and we believe that the amenities that are being presented will help serve those residents fairly well.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions on this?
I have a question.
Mauricio.
West of Valley, south of McCall, weren't they recently talking about building a school in that area? Elementary? I thought I read it.
I don't have that information off the top of my head. I apologize, but I can definitely find out and get back to you on that one.
Okay, yeah, I'm almost sure that's what I had read. Yeah?
Yeah, it's a little farther north of McCall. It's actually, I don't think it's on the corner of McCall and I think it's right there in that corner. Valley and the future Valley Gap and McCall is an elementary school. So. Great. Any other comments? Combining the dog park and mini golf into one would be you have your own hazards there too, both mobile and other. Any other questions?
I do have another question, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have hiking trails in that area? And will this be interrupting any of those hiking trails?
So the city doesn't have any maintained hiking trails in that area. If there are trails, they're user-created trails on private property. So if there is anything out there, the development might impact that, but unfortunately, it's private property that isn't owned by the city.
Private property. Thank you.
Chair.
I don't know if it's just me, but this, and it may just be the pictures, but it looks like a very small area in comparison to the amount of homes they anticipate there. Is this going to be sufficient enough for a community?
Like I said, the HOA amenity is intended to help service those residents, but in order to meet their parkland dedication, they are going to pay the rest in Quimby fees, which the city in turn will take and utilize towards developing additional parks in that area.
Very good. Laz.
The HOA will be responsible for maintaining, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Would this possibly be an idea we can implement in one of our parks, the golf course? I think that would be a nice little accessory to have. I think that was a very creative thought. I've never seen this before at a park. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yes, we are all about unique amenities.
Thanks. Okay, and I like the fact that, that even though this is HOA, we're going to get some Quimby dollars here to use in other wonderful projects in the general area. Okay, any other questions before we just ask for a motion to approve the Quimby assessment? Okay, can I have a motion?
I motion.
Okay.
Second.
All right, seconded to, motion's been made and seconded to that the Enclave track meets the Quimby requirements, and all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Unanimous then. We'll go to 8.3. This is Quimby assessment for Nautical Cove, track 31229.
All right, so this is another KB Homes project, and this is located west of Briggs Road, north of Holland Road. So if you're familiar with Centennial Park, this is just to the north of that. This is 233 single-family dwelling units, and again, this is another project where they are requesting some Quimby credit for the amenities they do have for their HOA, and then we'll be paying the rest in fees. So for this particular project, they don't have a lot of park-related or active recreation space that the city would consider towards Quimby credit, simply because there are, it's called Nautical Cove for a reason. There's going to be a lake, and so they're utilizing a large portion of that area for a man-made lake that, you know, is technically recreation, but it does not count toward active recreation per our municipal code. So they, for this particular project, the parkland dedication for the number of single-family dwelling units is just over 3 acres. And so with that, they have proposed a couple smaller amenities. There is going to be a recreation center on site, and with a community pool and volleyball court, as well as a small community park. But as you can see, they're relatively small in relation to, you know, the community center will have that lakeside view, but as far as recreation amenities, it's a little bit smaller. So their Quimby credit is for 0.83 for the 50%. And so with that, I'm going to toggle back to the formula just so you have that information there. So with the Quimby credit, it's the 2.49 acres that we are going to ask for them to pay in lieu of a parkland dedication, which comes to just over $460,000. And so that concludes my report. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer that.
Commissioners, any questions on this? Do we know if, is this senior housing, do you know, or?
I don't believe so, no.
Great. No, this is pretty straightforward. I love the fact we're going to get, you know, almost $500,000 to go towards other park amenities and improvements. So it's a win-win. I believe it meets the Quimby requirements, and I ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
And seconded.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimously approved. Thank you. 8.4, Community Service Department Fiscal Year 2024-2025 General Fund Budget Review.
All right, so I will continue on with this one. So this is bringing back an item that we had a discussion over at the March meeting about just what were potentially some of the priorities for the Community Services Department leading into the new biennial budget over the next 2 years, 2025 through 2027. So just as a review, the biennial budget timeline, we just had our first City Council workshop on capital improvement program this Wednesday, yesterday, and then we will be presenting another one on April 16th, which is going to be an additional workshop, again, reviewing capital improvement projects. And then on May 7th is the workshop that is scheduled for the City Council budget. So just kind of bringing forward the preliminary budget information for City Council consideration with the final adoption scheduled for June 4th. So that's just a general timeline on when we anticipate working with all the departments, the Finance Department, to get things ready to go for the new fiscal year, July 1. And so for this in particular, some key considerations for our commission is that, again, we are looking to our commission who have the contact with the public, who are very engaged and out there and hearing from our residents what our needs are. We are going to be looking to the commission to help us with policy guidance and so that the city staff can maintain the operational decision making for our programs, our parks, and our amenities. So, and again, kind of focusing in on aligning with the parks master plan and our strategic plan. We're all about planning, making sure that we're planning with an intentional idea behind what we do, and then really identifying high impact programs and what the residents really come out for is going to be important for us as we move forward in the next 2 years. So moving on, we did provide a brief overview of our current fiscal year budget, just so that you have an idea of how the general fund is spent in our Community Services Department. And so a lot of this has to do with the different various programs that we have in our Recreation Division. Our CSD administration want to highlight because that's a little bit of everything. That's not just us sitting in an office, but that's the backbone support to our contract classes, our facility rental programs, our citywide, department-wide training and staffing, so that all of that kind of comes out of our administration. And then, of course, following into the various programs that we have, as well as our recreation centers, both the Lazy Creek and Quesenceros, and then a number of the program areas that we've kind of broken out so we can really identify where the money for our department is being spent. We did break out our part-time salaries because our part-time staff, there's our frontline staff, they're really the ones that are out there helping us make these programs happen, so we're very appreciative. But again, they do have a cost depending upon the program area. You'll see things like part-time at Lazy Creek Recreation Center is a little higher because those are staff-intensive programs where we have the ratios of 1:8 with our Tiny Tot program, and then up to 1:15 for our after-school K through 5th programming. So just little things like that so you can kind of get a feel for that. And then we also have our full-time personnel, which is for our general fund, which is mostly our recreation program. And then interfund, which is support from our IT department, facilities and fleet, which kind of brings us to our net total. So this is just a brief breakdown of what we currently, or how we're currently operating in community services. And again, this is just our general fund budget. As you may or may not know, our department, specifically the parks right-of-ways, are often supported through our special district funds, which are the tax assessments through lighting and landscape maintenance districts, our community service areas, and the community facilities districts. So that is not included in this snapshot. And then kind of moving forward, this is just a little bit of a review of what we brought forward from the last meeting in March, just kind of looking at guiding some future investments. We understand that revenue is going to be relatively stable. We don't anticipate a whole lot of growth happening, and so we want to prioritize items that maybe are one-time costs that we can get the most benefit from versus ongoing expenditures that we will have to continue in future years. Also, of course, anticipating the new amenities coming on board, like the Central Park Amphitheater, we'll have to look at programming and staffing in accordance with the use of the amenity, and then also kind of just, again, consider where growth is needed or where it's happening, and kind of right-sizing things that, maybe we've done in the past, but we just aren't getting enough participation in, and so shifting some of those focus to areas that we've seen tremendous growth in. So some of those things that we talked about in the upcoming biennial budgets, the event enhancements. We know we have the 250th Independence Celebration coming up, Central Park, and those things can be either one-time cost or, we need to look internally to say, where do we need to refocus some of our funds. When we look at our facilities and parks maintenance side, a lot of those are equipment investments, which for the most part are one-time costs with the exception of the maintenance of equipment that we, will work with our fleet department on. And then infrastructure planning, we're in dire need of updating our landscape and design standards. We work with our developers with that information, and so we'd like to right-size that. The last time they were looked at and approved was in 2015, and a lot has changed since then. So essentially, this is my report, and so I'd like to open it up to discussion for the commission. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Commissioners? Any questions, commissioners?
Question on the amphitheater. Do we expect the amphitheater to bring in any revenue? And if so, how?
So we do have a ad hoc committee with both the city council and our commissioners that we're working on amphitheater programming, and we do want to bring in program that does bring in revenue, but we want to balance that with what our residents kind of already expect with some of the free programs like our movies in the park and some of our concerts. So it's definitely something we're looking at bringing higher level entertainment acts so that we can look at it as a revenue generating option.
Thank you. As far as gymnasiums, does the city have any other gymnasiums besides the one that's being planned?
No, we do not.
You do not. Can we use that gymnasium eventually for indoor concerts and stuff like that? I guess something I could have asked before.
I don't see why not. It's definitely a possibility. I think there's a lot of flexibility in gymnasiums.
Thank you.
Well, we do have the community center that's under design review as well, too. That'll has a theater component in it as well, too. For small groups, 125-ish, 150 max. Commissioner Peterson.
I sound like a broken record about these things, but the lights at the fields, we just lost Quartz Ranch, there's been a lot of talk, amongst the citizens about, losing that amenity for, for their use. I think that, just an opinion of mine, I obviously haven't done an independent study in depth, but it seems to me like some of our, estimates on requirements, it seems like our population, the youth of our population has actually been a lot, it has increased a lot more than what we thought, maybe just based on, let's say an adult population, that they generally don't go and use fields as much as the youth do. This year, 2025, the spring has, personally, I've witnessed a very significant growth of the use. And then, with our presentation with the basketball, they've got 25%, more. I don't know really where this fits in, but I feel pretty strongly that if we don't take some action to actually to get more space that's usable, especially during the evening in the fall and the early springtime, we're going to be really kicking rocks here, and it doesn't help that we don't have our valley-wide situation, any communication or any, understanding of what they got going on and what their reservations look like and all that stuff, All I can tell you is that this spring has been the season of headbutting and the season of almost fist fights, and it's much worse than last spring. So, we need more space, that we need more land, we need more lights. It's big. And it's not going to get any better. It's getting exponentially worse since we moved here in 2015, and so, that's something that, I feel pretty strongly about. And however that needs to get worked into the future, just as far as investments and looking into possibilities, there's too much animosity going on at these fields right now. So that's all I got.
Commissioner Tremblay, I just have one follow-up question on that, and I'll let you have the mic. Quartz Ranch lights, what, did I miss something there?
No, Quartz Ranch still has lights. What we're running into is that we don't necessarily allocate it for our league use at this time because of the parking situation.
Okay.
We are trying to work out something with Menifee Union School District to create an opportunity for an MOU beyond just city use, but allowing our leagues to potentially utilize or rent out their parking lot for overflow parking as a future future solution. So we're trying to be creative where we can.
Thank you for clarifying. Tiara?
My question was more in relationship to bikes. I know it's been a big need for our bike lanes to be, painted green or a different color. I know myself, I ride my bike periodically. My son rides his bike to school, so I understand how significant that is, especially as the weather starts to shift. Is that considered at all within this budget, the expense for that?
So that would not be a part of our Community Services Department budget, but it definitely is something that's a part of our capital improvement program. Our Public Works and Engineering Department have taken a good look at the active transportation plan as well as the complete streets plan to identify opportunities to kind of create that connectivity with the bike lanes, and that is definitely something they would take into consideration as a part of the capital improvement project.
Yes, we need to speak up at the next workshop regarding that project as well, too. Thank you. Any other questions for staff on this item? I appreciate the details that you provided in the budget review. Thank you for that. And I'll ask a couple more questions under director comments just about the workshop in general and yesterday's workshop and just some of the things that were discussed. But so this is just a receive and file, and Let's move over to 8.5, community services, user fees, development user fees, if there's no other questions.
Okay, I will continue. So it was a future agenda item request to review our Community Services Department user fees. And so we wanted to be able to provide the commission with some information on historically on how our user fees were created and where they sit now. So back in 2022, working with the finance team, there was a user fee study where that was presented to City Council with several recommendations to kind of right-size the fees based on cost recovery. And so with that came some recommendations to increase some of the cost of using of some of our facilities, like our facility rental fees. However, it was based on City Council's direction to keep them currently where they're at so that they can remain accessible specifically to our city residents and our youth leagues and organizations. So additionally, there's an opportunity for, with the authorization of the approval of the user fees, there's an opportunity that authorizes the city manager to implement an annual CPI adjustment on user fees. And as of right now, that is not being implemented for our community services department user and facility rental fees. But this is just a general spreadsheet that kind of goes through what was recommended, our current fee, what was recommended. And I think the big one was that the recommendation was for our resident youth leagues. It's currently $5 an hour. The recommendation was to bring that up to 10. So however, that again sits at $5 an hour as it is. And then just kind of moving forward, our recreation programs, so things like our programming at Lazy Creek Recreation Center or the Quesada Senior Center or our contract classes, they all fall under recreation programs, which are exempt because they aren't considered imposed fees as they are optional participation program. And so we are in the line of when these are set, we follow what we call market rate. So we'll take a look at programs in the general area that are of similar type and serving the similar resident group, and then that will help us identify the going rate for those fees. So it's really not generally looking at 100% cost recovery or in that vein of compensation, but typically our recreation programs tend to be low cost because again, we want to keep them accessible, especially for our youth and our seniors. But again, we have the opportunity to adjust those without having to go to City Council for approval based on what the market rate is. And so as this was a future agenda item, we wanted to be able to provide this information so that way we can get any additional feedback, or if there was additional data that the commission would like to review, we can definitely return with further analysis or additional recommendations at a future meeting. So with that, I'll go ahead and open up for discussion.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, commissioners, any questions on user fees or recommendations or feedback on the fee structures? Commissioner Peterson?
Well, I really appreciate you putting this together for us. You know, the one thing that I've noticed, you know, obviously with the overcrowding of the field, you know, the field reservations and things like that, and toe stepping and fist bumping and all that stuff, you know, the one thing, you know, as far as the fees go, you know, I mean, I can't speak for every organization, but it seems kind of like some of these organizations, you know, they might have fields reserved, and because they're not paying as much, they're not as efficient with, you know, managing their own assets on those fields. And so it's kind of, you know, it's a little too relaxed, and I feel strongly that if we raise the rates to something that's, I would say, something a little bit more fair for Menifee, you know, they are going to manage their field reservations a lot better. And they might complain a little bit, but at the end of the day, everybody's gonna win because, you know, I think you guys know that we could use a couple extra dollars, you know, to obviously expand our, you know, community services and, you know, and add lights to certain fields, or, you know, just, I'm sure there's a list of things you guys have on your mind that you'd love to do, you know, for, you know, wish list or whatever, you know, but I don't know, I really do like the idea of 100% cost recovery on those, but, you know, but raising the fees, Valley-wide's fees are obviously significantly higher than ours. To a very, I mean, significantly higher. We're not talking like, you know, a couple dollars. We're talking like, in some cases, $50 more per hour. So, and, you know, I don't know the insides of their situation, and I think it would be nice for you guys to know more about them and how, you know, things are working inside of their organization. But yeah, if we could, I feel strongly that if we could raise our fees, then it will actually make everything better both for the organizations, for the citizens, and the city.
Could you go back one slide, and I'll turn the time over to Tiara.
Oh, I definitely agree. I know the city council wants to keep it, as efficient as possible, but I believe if we were able to raise the fees, it would help with the budget and having more access to funds, hopefully putting more lights at certain parks, where we do have a larger inventory, expanding some of the amenities on the park and or keeping the upkeep of it. I think an increase would be ideal because, yeah, they are significantly low, and this is coming from someone outside of here who rents these fields. And I agree, when the price is so low, you can be laxy-daisy with really maintaining reservations or, oh, if we don't show up, it's fine. It was only $20 when, some of these programs charge hundreds of dollars for one kid. So I agree. I know the city council wants it a certain way, but if there's some room where we can regenerate more income to improve the field access, field use, the systems that we use to even reserve space, that would be a win-win for everybody, even if it costs a little bit more.
Would we exclude, I'm sorry, let Mauricio, go ahead.
I agree with 100% recovery. I agree with what they've said. I've rented a field for the church event, softball, $20 for an hour. That's very reasonable, considering we're all grown-ups and we all work, and I guess you can also decide based on your audience who's going to be playing. Sometimes you have kids with families or families with low income, but $20 is really cheap. And I did hear in the news a couple of years ago how bad Valley-wide was in raising its fees. And I agree, the upkeep of these beautiful parks costs money. So,
Tom?
I agree with everybody and what they're saying, that the fees should be higher. And since we are an advisory body to the council, I'd like to know if we could put a proposal before them to reconsider putting the hold on the rental fees. I don't know exactly how we go about that, other than
yes.
just tell them how we
We
feel.
recommend that they,
Yeah.
Make a
we would
recommendation.
recommend that they increase to meet costs.
So we did say that we'd be happy to do a little more research and provide some analysis on what maybe other agencies are doing in and around the area and how that would fit into that, and then also what the cost recovery might be. But if it's the council's desire, commission's desire to make a recommendation to revisit the fees, we could definitely work through those details and come up with a recommendation to get it before City Council.
I'd like to make a motion that we do that.
Before we do, my only concern is that resident nonprofit youth sports groups are only having to pay $5. I mean, if they're having 2 practices a week plus that's $10 a week for each individual team. I don't know what kind of budgets they have, and maybe Laz or Tiara have more experience with that. But what kind of budget does a typical soccer team or a baseball team have to be able to spend the money to be able to practice on a real field?
Can I speak to that a little bit? So to give you an idea, if we have to rent at Paloma, Liberty, or Heritage, we would spend easily for 1 week well over $300 in rental fees. So when we are able to access the parks, it's a significant difference. So even if we were to raise the rate up a little bit more, it's going to be a win as opposed to having to utilize any of our local schools. Because even for nonprofits, if we are coming either after a holiday or a weekend, which a lot of places will want to use a facility on a weekend, you have to pay for the janitor fees, and that's at an overtime rate. So even for 1 day for a couple hours is very expensive, even for a nonprofit. And that's a discount because we're not paying for the facility use. So this is extremely low, and for someone who oversees a nonprofit organization that serves youth, we have well over 200 athletes on our team, and those 200 athletes, they're paying $30 a month for one athlete. So we can afford to pay a little bit more if it means that the fields are going to be able to be maintained. We're going to get more lights. It'll come back to us tenfold, and then there'll be less butting of heads. So we're not fighting with AYSO or CDSC for the same field. And I can't speak for them, but I would imagine they would say the same thing. Even at the bare minimum, if it was just like, hey, we pay a little bit more and it adds more lights to some of our additional fields in a heartbeat. But I'll let you speak on from your experience, Laz.
Go ahead, Laz. Thanks.
I just wanted to add to that, you know, that as far as Valleywide goes, compared to Menifee, I mean, their total, I mean, obviously they have, you know, the number of parks, their number of ball fields, their number of multi-purpose fields is different than ours. But they're booked, completely booked at their rates. I mean, we're talking booked. And, you know, it's kind of an injustice to our citizens that we do charge so little. And I know that the city council may not agree, but I feel like they need to get one swift back right up in their lap and, you know, hear about it, because it is hurting us that we're so low. And, you know, I mean, I understand that there are people that, you know, that maybe they don't have the financial means to appreciate, you know, a higher rate. But the organizations, you know, they do have sponsorships within organizations, and the organizations, I can tell you, are spending money, just not with Menifee. So, yeah, no, they're spending money, and we need to get our fair share. I mean, we have to. I know you guys know that there's a lot of things on the table, so.
Commissioner Sanchez.
So what do you all recommend the hike should be? Percentage-wise, 100%? 50%?
100%
what's
would be nice.
proposed?
I mean, 100% cost recovery puts us in a really good spot. It just, you know, if we were,
That decision doesn't need to be made tonight, but
Yeah,
again, we
it's
could
just a
definitely bring in
recommendation.
more information. If you guys want to make a recommendation that we bring back more information so we could further discuss, we can do that.
yeah.
Commissioner Gidris.
I think that would be the best move then. If you could research this further, give us more information on it, and then we could make a really comprehensive recommendation to council.
Okay, I see that as a recommendation, and I'll take it as a motion too, since you did kind of make a motion to that effect. So, and I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Staff, clear then what we want there?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We are at agenda item 9, CSD Director comments, and 9.1, Director comments, Rebecca Kramer handing the torch off.
I am. So Mariana, of course, does not need an introduction to you. You have worked with her for many years, but I just wanted to formally acknowledge her appointment as the Community Services Director. We have utmost confidence in her ability to lead this department, and look forward to many years of her serving in this capacity. So I am going to pass the torch to her, and she's going to carry on our meeting, and congratulations, Mariana.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. And before I continue, I just want to say thank you to Rebecca for her time with us here at the commission and leading us. And we aren't losing her, so she's still going to be in and around and helping us in community services, so you'll still continue to see her. But again, wanted to thank you, Rebecca, for all the support that you've been while you've been with us in community services.
I second that. Thank you.
All right, so moving on to the rest of the director's comments. Just wanted to bring forward a couple other items that are coming up in the month of April that are supporting some of our other developments, other departments. We do have our Foodie Fridays that's happening, coming back, it started in March, so coming back this Friday on April 4th from 5 to 9 at Mount San Jacinto College. And again, that's a partnership with Made Local, which is all the food vendors, entertainment, happening down at Menifee, MSJC, the Menifee campus, with our Economic Development Department. And then the next week we have Menifee PD, who's going to be hosting Hops and Cows on April 10th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Chick-fil-A. And really it's an opportunity to kind of outreach with the public in a fun and entertaining place while getting a great meal. So Oh, I'm sorry. And then our joint City Council PRTC Community Center Design Workshop, which is going to be our final workshop with City Council and PRTC. That is scheduled for Tuesday, April 29th. And I apologize, it's 5:30 p.m., not 6 o'clock. So please
I
note.
was just
It's
checking
going to
that,
be,
so.
yeah, it's going to be a little earlier than that. I apologize. But it will be here at City Council chambers where we'll have our design team, TSK architects, who will be out and to kind of finalize what some of the outstanding items to keep moving forward with the complete design of that upcoming community center off of La Piedra next to the Menifee Library. So I believe that completes my report for director's comments. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. I do have some questions. I wasn't able to attend CIP workshop number 1, but are they kind of categorizing the CIP projects? I mean, were there any CIP related projects that were discussed last night?
Yes, and I was going to ask Bryce if he wanted to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so the biggest CSD project is going to be Banner Park. There was the discussion. There's some funding that needs to be spent over there that would either go between a trail, a corridor between that would connect over Salt Creek there on Lindenberger Road to be able to connect that, or to be able to the playground that was already in the project or in the CIP program as well, to be put a playground at Banner Park. Council has recommended, this is obviously the workshop, and then it'll be there, that we move forward with the playground at Banner Village Park, yes.
Awesome.
And that's the project for CSD that will be going on, the newer one.
Excellent.
Oh, and then also the Gale Web restrooms, the funding, moving more funding into that project as we finish the design on that and get the actual cost estimate and everything for that.
That's great news. Thank you very much. And did amphitheater funding for the extra, did that get approved by consent, or was there a discussion?
Yes, it was approved by consent. Those are items that are part of the already included project budget. So.
Very good. I was concerned about that too. Okay, let's move to 9.2, Parks in Progress.
All right. I know you guys have your sheet there. I did end up changing a little bit on this, so it may look different than your sheet, because I realized when we do this, we were doing this obviously last month. This month, things have changed, so in my mind, it's already happening. So Cimarron Ridge, the grading's underway for the park, and also Valor Park, the grading's underway. We had our pre-construction meeting for Cimarron Ridge 2 days ago, so the actual construction where we're going to be erecting putting the irrigation, playgrounds, dog parks, everything, that will be starting in May. Next week, we actually have Valor Park. We have the pre-construction meeting for that. So the actual construction, other than the grading like that, at least has started. So that will be starting as well. So they'll probably both be starting around the same time. I'm guessing because of the size of the park, Valor Park will probably be done a little sooner than Cimarron, but they are moving forward. I'll go forward a little bit. So I just wanted to discuss the Quail Valley Nature Park. So this is an HOA park that actually was about little over 5 acres that was built with the development of the Kenya Heights. Their HOA voted to transfer that ownership to the city. So including is some nature preserve area. So it would be a 10-acre parcel. And we're looking to make it having some open space and everything that's on there. I'll get onto that next slide. So we had the project we're estimating is $1.5 million total funding for the park development that's there. So there is already a partial park. There's an asphalt walkway or roadway and everything that's there. And then we're going to update some of that. $750,000 of that is funded this current year that we're in right now, and then we are with matching funds from an outdoor recreation legislative partnership for a grant for that. So we're able to put money in from a sorry, I lost train of thought, but
we've been awarded that money.
We have been awarded that money, yes, or we're in the process of. We haven't received it, but we will be awarded the money. We've got confirmation of it.
That's huge.
So I'll go over what the better part of it, that the more interesting part. So as you can see, this is the most basic conceptual, or the current conceptual design that we have with a parking lot, a little multi-purpose field, some picnic shelters. It will be a walking path through that nature area where we can do nature walks with the rangers. We're trying to keep it as natural and native as possible. And the smaller section over there, the long walking path that's there. So there will be lights throughout. We're looking at probably either the solar lighting that's there to keep it down, and then the irrigation, obviously, as low maintenance irrigation as we can. That's really what we're looking at with this park. There's already a playground that's there for the HOA community, so we won't have that. It will be blocked off for that. That's still for that community that has it. But the rest of the community in the Quail Valley will be able to have this use. Obviously, it's definitely needed in Quail Valley to have another park that's in that area.
And Bryce, what about that existing bridge?
So the bridge is owned by the HOA, and it'll still be owned by the HOA. They'll maintain it. They'll take complete responsibility of that bridge, and it'll be used by them. It won't be used by the public.
Okay, so it'll still be locked most of the time.
Yes, that will be locked on their end.
And there's some road improvements to get down. Is that Newport? Is that little road that goes?
There's Newport that's up there, and I can't think of
to get to that gravel park.
Wells and
parking
Sierra.
lot.
So Sierra comes in. So that's why we're looking at, because a lot of them are the one-way roads. So the way that we're designing it is one way in and then taking the other street, so it's one way out.
And just so you know, the design is still preliminary, and we do anticipate that we'll be engaging with the community to get some additional feedback, and to also make sure that we stay in alignment with the grant that was awarded to the city.
I love it. Thank you. Any questions, commissioners? Any other questions on that, 9.2?
I have two.
Oh, go ahead, Tia.
The first question is, do you know the distance of like the walking path? Is it 1 mile, 2 miles?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I can measure that and get that to you, but it's because we're so in the preliminary, can't speak right now, design of it, so we'll figure that out.
And then, is it possible to incorporate water stations? I know, especially
There
as
will
it
be
gets-
drinking fountains in that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely have that in there. The trash receptacles, drinking fountains, some park benches.
Thank you. That was it.
What makes it a nature park?
So we're trying to keep it as natural as possible. So what will be irrigated will be maybe if we add some trees in that walking path, but most of the irrigation will be where that soccer field is, the parking lot. The rest of that, if you were going west on the island part, I guess the Florida part that comes off of it, we're trying to keep that. The only thing that will be disturbed really is the walking path or any shelter or anything that we put in there. The rest of it, we want to keep it as natural as possible with native plant material, everything that's already there.
And what are the streets this is? I'm not familiar with that area. I'd like to swing by and look at it.
The streets, so there's a few streets to get to her. So it's Sierra, if you were to, Sierra that goes through, I think Wells is the one that comes off of Getz Road, and you'll make a couple turns to get to Sierra. So it's hard to just give you the directions, but I can get you the address for it. Yeah.
All right, Tiara, did you have another comment, or is that left over? Okay. And is there a blue line stream through there along that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's actually an amenity, I think, for a nature park. That's awesome. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that report. Let's go to 9.3, solid waste and recycling. Who's our recycling guru tonight?
That'll be me.
Okay.
So solid waste and recycling, we have a few updates we want to provide to you. First one being that we understand that information has gone out to our residents regarding the SB 1383, which is the Organics Recycling Program, just highlighting the fact that, that we want to ensure people are diverting their waste into the appropriate bin. So we're going to be hosting a couple contamination workshops because part of the compliance is that Waste Management is going to be utilizing their smart trucks to determine if there's any contamination in any of the recycling bins and notifying residents if there's contamination so that they can correct that. So in order to support that, we're doing our part in reaching out to residents and offering additional information through, like I mentioned, the contamination monitoring workshops. So the first one's going to be held on Tuesday, April 8th, and it's going to be at the Menifee Chamber of Commerce just across the way. And we welcome anybody who's looking to get more information on how that works, how the smart truck works, or just want to come and have a conversation with Waste Management about that, to please come out and attend. And then also, want to highlight that we do have our next bulky item drop-off event taking place on April 26th, and this is a part of Menifee Better Together. So historically, this is a drop-off event that happens in Quail Valley. Currently, Cabian Park is under construction with Riverside County making some much-needed improvements. So we are going to be hosting this bulky item drop-off at Quail Valley Elementary. So I want to make sure people are aware of the location change, and this is open to all residents of Menifee, and we encourage you to take this opportunity to clean out your garage, do some spring cleaning, and get rid of that waste, and then we will divert it appropriately. And then we just have a number of outreach events. You'll see that Menifee Recycles a booth at a number of our citywide special events, just again trying to engage with the community and promote some behaviors that will help us with our diversion rates. And I believe that
More slides?
concludes. Yep, I think that's it.
That's it, okay. Awesome, thank you. Let's go to or any questions actually on recycling, commissioners? No, let's go to 9.4.
All
Recreation
right.
Division update.
Yes. Recreation Division update. I just want to make sure you guys have the information for our attendance participation and our revenue for the month of March. Again, we do have a number of items that are continuously increasing, specifically in our contract class programs. I think you'll hear me say that a month after. Again, it continues to be our number one revenue draw, and that is, again, classes like our hula class, our taekwondo class, our folklorico classes. Just these are our local residents or regional residents that are coming out and sharing their talents with our kids. So we're happy to be able to continue to host that, as well as a number of our other programs and classes throughout our recreation division. And so some programs that we want to make sure that we highlight. Case-Sinicero Senior Center has a number of items that are coming up. Some of these are very informative workshops, things like our fall prevention bingo. I promise nobody's going to be falling. We're preventing that, but they're going to make it fun and interesting with bingo. And then we have our Age Well Drive Well, which is hosted through the California Highway Patrol. So anybody who's interested in getting more information and potentially even a discount in your insurance, you're welcome to attend. And then our regular offerings like the Veterans Resource Table, which is going to be on April 24th, and then our monthly food box program at La Ladera Park. On the recreation youth program side, we have our Mighty Me program, which is our all abilities, all-inclusive programming that is hosting Movement Thursdays throughout the next few months, as well as Social Fridays for both youth and adults with special needs. And we encourage anybody who's interested in looking for something to do to come on out. We have a number of opportunities for people to get active and social. And then last but not least, for our recreation division, we have our spring break camp that's coming up later in the month of April. And this is a full day camp, Monday through Friday, hosted at our Lazy Creek Recreation Center. And we also are offering an additional partial day camp, our youth sports camp, and our Watch Me Grow camp opportunities as well. So if parents are looking for something for their children to do during that spring break, we welcome them to come on down to Lazy Creek Recreation Center or meet us out at Centennial Park or Spirit Park for some of those sport programs and activities. And so I believe that concludes my report for recreation.
That's awesome. Ms. Mitchell, do we know the monthly food box, has there been any concerns that with some of the holds on federal funding that this would be impacted at all?
We have not gotten any information about this being impacted at all. It's still continued to go as it is. And we are currently averaging just over 900 boxes a month.
Great, thank you. Any commissioners have any other questions on this item? You know, I drive well, but I don't age well, so I don't know if I could attend that. Maybe I could attend that class. Let's go to 9.5 then, special events update.
All right, we got a number of special events happening in the month of April. So this Saturday we have the Menifee Multicultural Festival, which is being hosted on this Saturday, April 5th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Mount San Jacinto College campus in Menifee, and a full day of entertainment, as well as country informational booths, food vendors, art and craft vendors, photo opportunities, a little bit of everything. So we welcome everybody to come on out and join us for a great day. And then the following weekend, we have our Spring Fest on April 12th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at La Ladera Park. And we say it's 9 a.m. We encourage people to come early because the first egg hunt does start at 9. I know we say egg hunt, but it's more like Egg Mad Dash. So please come on out. But we do have opportunities for the different age groups to hunt at different times. So if you miss the 9 a.m., you might catch the 10:30 a.m. And we do have a number of opportunities, such as food vendors, art and craft booths, and we will have the Spring Bunny present for photo opportunities as well. So moving forward, oh, yes.
For that event, I noticed you guys have the age groups for the kiddos. By chance, do you guys will there be, I'm sorry, is that the inclusive egg hunt? I was going to say for children with special needs.
Yes, that is
okay,
inclusive.
Sorry, I answered my own question. Thank you.
No problem.
There's even an egg hunt for you, too, at 10 a.m., too, Chair. So.
No fishing.
Thank you. Go continue on.
All right. And then moving on, we have our annual Menifee Better Together event, Community Beautification, happening on April 26th from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we are now accepting volunteer registration for a number of our community projects in and around the city of Menifee, with our kickoff taking place at 7 a.m. at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right off of Bradley. And again, a number of opportunities. And we just like to take the moment to thank all of our sponsors. It takes a lot of people to make this happen. A lot of people giving of their time, giving of their funds, and giving of just connections when it comes to ensuring that our volunteers have an opportunity to give back to the community. And then also we get to thank them by offering them a nice lunch afterwards. So I encourage anybody who's looking to participate in that, please register early. We do have several community projects that we're still looking for volunteers to fill. And then this is kind of a save the date. It's in the month of May. We have our annual Senior Expo and Wellness Fair that's going to be taking place in collaboration with the Senior Advisory Committee at the Sun City Civic Association. We do want to make note that this is open to all residents, even though it's in Sun City. I know that's an HOA community, so we want to make sure everybody can come on down. And it's not just for our seniors. It's for our families who may be looking for resources for mom, dad, grandparents, or just want to kind of get a look at what's happening with our senior population. So we encourage everybody to come on out. It's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we already have over 40 exhibitors across various activities and various topics that we believe will be helpful to our residents. And I do believe it's free lunch for the first 150 people. So if you're hungry, come on down. And I believe that concludes my report for special events.
Questions, commissioners, on special events? Both of these are outstanding events, and Menifee Better Together. I was actually out today with Habitat for Humanity looking at scoping out some of the senior homes that need some revitalization work, and there's a great need out there in the community, and they're still getting, I think they've received 7 more homes this week, so they think they're going to meet their goal of 25 homes is what we're targeting to try to help with just landscape cleanup and things around their properties and some light repairs and such. So, but there's projects for all abilities as well and all ages. So I encourage everyone to participate in this wonderful annual event. And I've participated in the Senior Expo in the past. It's just been a great project. Commissioner Sanchez.
On the Senior Expo, how do we get the word out to seniors who probably don't have access or are not tech savvy?
Yeah, we do. Our Senior Advisory Committee does a great job at taking out some flyers to all of the local senior HOAs and just kind of making presentations to try and get the word out, aside from social media. Of course, we want to get the families out as well, and then our Case Sarah Senior Center.
Thank you very much. Let's go to 9.6, CIP program updates. Take it away, Bryce.
Okay, thank you. All right, so just a few updates that on here. Again, I'd like to reiterate on Tuesday, April 29th, I know you guys will be there with council. We'll hope the public can be there for the La Piedra Community Center for that design. So here at the council chambers, that workshop. So that way we can complete that design on that and get that going. Another bigger one is we've obviously completed the street medians. That notice of completion went last night to council as well. That is completed, but on top of that, we are going to end up working internally, adding a couple more art pieces to that center median. The same plant material, so it looks like it's a little bit more plants that are on there. It's a beautiful median, but we are going to add a little bit more plant life to it. I know it's fake plants, but that's
This is Cherry
what we
Hills
are.
you're
This
talking
Cherry
about.
Hills median, correct. Park lighting over at the pump track. So the foundations have been set. They were last Friday. We poured those for the light poles that are going to be at the pump track in the parking lot. We have to wait 30 days before we can put the poles in. So by the end of April, those the poles and the lights will be up, and we'll be able to, the pump track will be able to be used a lot later into the evening, especially in the winter time. Obviously now it gets dark a little later, but we'll be able to use that come fall and the winter a lot more than we can in the summertime. And then also I'm sorry, I've had a long day. So that's all I have for the capital improvement. If you guys
Any
have
questions on
questions.
CIP, Mauricio?
When do we expect the amphitheater to be completed? I think you mentioned it before.
The end of the year, so that's what we're working at that. We had an extension last night that was approved for, that was the approved last night at the city council was the change order for that.
And the bridge that connects the shopping
The bridge, the construction, same time within this year, they're going to be finished. The parking lot and the bridge will finish within the same time at the amphitheater. And the parking lot I'm talking about is where the city hall will eventually go, but the parking lot's already under construction for that. So that one's actually started. That one will probably be done a little sooner than them, but the bridge and the theater will be done around the same time.
Great. I'd recommend working with our public affairs team of maybe doing some kind of a highlight thing on this project. There's so much misinformation out there about the community center. About the amphitheater, the bridge, and the parking. People are not aware that there is parking going to be built, and the amphitheater and the bridge were always part of that whole development package as well too. So I see it looks like the restrooms, Gail Webb, the sewer connections starting to creep up in price.
It is starting to creep up in price. So a couple years ago, the original estimate that we had was $400,000. And that now the way that we are connecting with EMWD, getting approval for them, and that's what we're working with them. We're actually going to have to bore under the culvert that's there. So that's going to cost a little bit more to go
so we're
under
not-
to connect it.
We're not going to be able to go south then?
We will not be able to go south to that location. The best location is right there at Craig and Evans. It's only a couple hundred feet, but we do have to bore under the culvert that's there.
You got to go
Correct.
under? Is that going
Yeah.
to be forced?
It still will be. I believe it's still a gravity fed. That sewer line's pretty deep on the Craig and Evans side.
Okay.
But that's what's going to cost so much, and the price of construction keeps going up year by year. But that's part of the cost of the increase.
That's huge. But
So-
you said they still, city's still
Still putting some more funding towards that.
funding
Correct.
towards it. Okay. Well, we got $500,000 from that future. When does Quimby fees actually get paid by the developers? And is there benchmarks for that? Do they pay in phases?
So
How does that work?
ultimately, they do have to pay prior to occupancy, and it depends upon the development. So a lot of times, if it's something that's been developed and sitting in plans for a while, and then you have a developer who really wants to build it, and fees aren't exorbitant, they may pay at one cost, total lump sum. Some projects, I imagine maybe something like Nautical Cove, which was approved earlier this evening, they may look at dividing up the fee per lot, so per home. So that way it's divided between the 233
sold,
homes. And so as they're sold or as they're occupied is when we'll get that fee for Quimby.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for Okay, maintenance division update.
All right.
9.7.
So a couple updates. We had 524 work orders submitted for the parks and right-of-way. 512 of those completed. 4 of those were submitted by the residents on the MyCivic app. We had 102 inspections, and that's actually, we had 180 trees trimmed. I know it says 18. We had 180 trees trimmed on there. There was also a retirement from one of our facility supervisor. So he's been with the city for 6 years, but he retired this on Tuesday was actually his last day. He was a big help, big asset to the community services, the city itself. So James retired this last Tuesday. It was good for him. Bad for us, good for him. So he'll be missed, and we'll definitely looking to backfill his job, and we have that set up. Also, another picture you see, the person with the cat, that one of our maintenance workers, you never know what we're going to find at the parks. We work with Animal Friends of the Valley, the rangers, everybody to be able to find that. So that's why we like to throw some things up on the pictures sometimes, just a little different. You never know what you find at the parks and who helps us with the community that way. So most of our work orders, again, were Centennial Park, and that's because it's used 7 days a week, and it's used 4 days a week from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., all day long. So it's one of our busiest parks, so that's why that work orders are always the highest. And the next one this last time was the sports park, Gale Webb Action Sports Park, and that's because we were installing the foundations for the light poles. So it was a lot of work. It kept raining on us every time we were trying to do it. Finally got it in between the rain, and now we're ready for light poles. If you guys have any questions on any of the maintenance work orders, I'll keep going on to the ranger updates as well.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I hope you guys were able to make it at the beginning of March for our Wildlife Appreciation Day. It was a good turnout. We had about 1,200 residents that showed up for that, so it was definitely good. I hope you guys made it. We've had 535 outreach that we did this year. So we went from Santa Rosa to Boulder Ridge, and then also the youth fair that was at Lazy Creek Park. So the rangers have been busy with a lot of outreach this month, and I hope you guys see them in the park. Obviously, we have not had any citations or anything that we write. We do have a lot that are advised and comply with us that help out. Again, having those citations and having people comply when they're there, just that presence, it's a good help to show that our parks are safe and everything like that. But that's all the update I have. If you guys have any questions for any of the maintenance update.
Questions, commissioners? No, thank you. Thank you. On agenda item number 10, commissioner reports on committee activities. Commissioners, you want to report? I was out at the Wildlife Appreciation Day. That was the only event that I was able to make last month, but it was fun and it was outstanding. I was a little disappointed. No shave ice. I guess they canceled on us at the last minute, I think, but it was a fun. Well, I always look forward to that, and it seems like it's getting more popular each year. Commissioner Peterson.
All right. Well, to follow up on that, the Wildlife Appreciation Day event is a fan favorite all around. For the people that get to attend, that know about it, I mean, it is really fun for the kids. And, I mean, Banner Village Park looked excellent, Bryce, just so you know. Beautiful park. Let's see, I also got to attend the Fire and Ice Gala by the Rotary Club, and that was my first time attending an event. And our former mayor, Bill Zimmerman, was the MC, and he was, his personality, you just can't beat it, And we really miss him, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Bill. The Lazy Creek Youth Fair was, as always, a hit. I've got to say, my daughter was the jump rope champion twice, and so I just had to put that one out there. But no, that event is absolutely a wonderful time, and the dancing and the just the games and all of the different activities. That one is, you don't miss it next year. Nobody, don't miss it. And finally, the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans event was, I really can't put to words, what those men and women went through. And you know, but I can kind of understand what they went through when they came home, you know, and you know, to hear the stories and to meet all the veterans and you know, just seeing them become proud of themselves for, you know, having been through that and to be appreciated, you know, I mean, it means a lot. And, you know, like I said, I could never understand what it would be like to be in that type of a situation, both at war or, you know, coming home and having eggs thrown at you or getting beat up or, you know, yeah, I just got to say how much I appreciate those men and women. And, you know, I know that most people don't agree with some of the things that war was about, but, you know, those people are still Americans, and they still stood up for our country, and they fought for our country, and we have to respect that. And that was a wonderful, wonderful event. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez?
I also participated. I think I took the second half of the youth fair. I was pulling up, and Laz was pulling out.
You took my parking spot.
Yeah, I took his spot. Right. Yeah, I came down with my daughter and her friend. Had a great time. The dancing was great. The kids were just the whole thing all around was great. They had a really good time. I ran into a few people that I know. It was great. I also participated or attended the Hunman Group event they had here last week, where they talked about placemaking. One of the things and it was very interactive, where the us sitting back there would use our phone to say, you know, the different things that we would like to have here in Menifee. What makes Menifee unique? And I think a lot of the things people were talking about was a regional park, having a regional park. I know we've talked about that before. Hiking trails, that was pretty big. Yeah, we talked about the different hiking trails and what people do when they bring their families, or families come from other cities and come visit us. Hiking trails was a big one, and I've talked about it a little bit about it earlier. You know, I don't, maybe for a future agenda, talk about maybe acquiring land for hike trails. Just something to throw out there.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Commissioners. We're at item 11 on the agenda, future agenda requests. Any additions for future agenda items?
I guess that would be my future agenda items, is consider purchasing land for hiking trails.
Yeah, I'll second that one. Biking trails and hiking trails.
Hiking trails, I guess we do have a lot. I mean, it's a beautiful city, beautiful place we live in, where we have lots of rolling hills, and you know, we have trails. With the property that's going to be built in my neck of the woods here soon, there's going to be duplexes being built. There's talks about maybe losing hiking trails because those houses butt up to the hills there. But I think if we had some really nice hiking trails with the amenities, you know, I think the citizens of this city would really appreciate that.
A while back, we were going to map where the trails are. I don't know what became of that project. Have you got anything on that?
It's not an official CIP project, but it is still something that was identified in the Parks Master Plan. So it's still on the recommended items.
At least purchasing land or getting right away, I guess, for trails and such as well.
Acquiring it, stealing it, borrowing it, whatever it takes.
So we do have schedule for May. Are we on target to do a discussion of public-private partnership and Complete Streets update?
Yes, we are in target. The discussion for public-private partnership will likely be similar to how we did the user fees, kind of give you an overview and update on that item, and then if there's additional direction for our staff to review and bring more information, we can work on that. The Complete Streets and Active Transportation update will likely be a presentation.
Okay, very good, very good. And that's very timely with the CIP budget too, and making sure that that those priorities that have been outlined in the Complete Streets Active Transportation Plan that we've participated in as commissioners get our voices are heard on the CIP budget allocations. Okay, anything else, commissioners, for staff or?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Turn.
This meeting will be adjourned at 7:53. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance in person and online. Have a great weekend.